Landlords are caught in the middle of a battle of politics, and their economic survival will depend on safely navigating this political minefield. In the next few minutes, I will give you everything that landlords need to know. Good morning and welcome to the Stephen Carlson Show. I'm Stephen Carlson. As you know, the Health and Economic Recovery Omnibus Emergency Solutions Act. Whew, what a mouthful. Or, honestly, more easily remembered as the HEROES Act, was introduced and passed by the House Democrats this week, sending it over to the Senate for their review. As we know, the current pandemic has caused massive economic damage to everyone, rich and poor, and as Americans, we need to come together to help everybody out. I have no issue in providing a helping hand. But, as I will explain in the next few minutes, this proposal would bankrupt many small business landlords and eventually lead to a shortage of affordable properties for tenants. Now, let me be clear. No one is advocating to have people kicked out of their homes and sent out on the street in the middle of a public health crisis. Now, this is about preserving the rights of property owners and not leaving their fate solely to the discretion of Uncle Sam. As proposed, the act provides tenants protection for being evicted for non-payment of rent for 12 months, starting on the date of this law being passed. Additionally, a landlord must give the defaulting tenant an additional 30 days prior to serving any eviction notices. Now, under this proposal, if a tenant chooses to abuse this situation, they can now live rent-free for at least 13 months. And, as a landlord, I hate evictions for multiple reasons. I'd much rather have a happy tenant that will just live in my unit for many, many years to come. That's why I fix and repair every item immediately, and I treat my tenants very well. Now, I'm not sure if you've ever had to evict a person. Unfortunately, I have, and it is a very long and involved process. And depending on your local town ordinances, this could take 2-3 months or longer. And this part of the act is what really sucks for landlords, as this 2 to 3 month eviction process cannot even start until after the 13th month. So now, an abusive tenant could be living there for 15 to 16 months rent-free. And this is not taking into account the massive backlog that we know is going to be at the courthouse with all the backdated cases, which is going to add even more time before a landlord is able to get a new paying tenant into that unit. Now, from my reading, and of course, remember, I'm not a lawyer, I'm just some dude on the internet, so you should definitely check with your lawyer. But from my reading, it does appear that the past due rent is not forgiven. So luckily, landlords should be able to sue the tenant in court and seek a judgment against them. But honestly, in most cases, this judgment is pretty much useless and probably will never be able to collect the backdated money, and it would just cost you even more money in legal fees and court costs. Now, from the tenant's perspective, this judgment hypothetically may show up on their credit report and may make it harder for them to seek a more desirable rental unit in the future. But honestly, from the landlord's perspective, it's probably going to be a waste of time. The proposed act does allocate $100 billion to be distributed through the Department of Housing and Urban Development for the assistance with rent and other housing costs such as utilities, relocation, security deposits, and fees. This provision would target low and medium income renters who earn less than 80% of the median income for the metropolitan area. Some 40% of the funds that are given to each state would go to renters whose income does not exceed 30% of the area median income. Those with income no larger than 50% of the median income would be eligible for 70% of the overall assistance, while any remaining funds would be given to families earning no more than 80% of the area median income. Whew, wow. Leave it to Congress to come up with a whole bunch of stupid numbers. The problem, as I brought up in my previous video, HEROES Act, shafting the people, again, let them eat cake, is honestly, I feel that tenants may not be motivated to go through the headache of applying for the local rental or assistance funds because they honestly may just feel it's a complete waste of time. They know they cannot be evicted anyways. Now, of course, let's be clear. There are many honest, hardworking people out there that will happily go through the paperwork so that they can get this grant money to pay their rent. My concern is how many? What if 10%, 15%, 20% or more decide that it is not worth their time? Can landlords afford to maintain their properties with that level of cut in rental income? For example, one of my apartment buildings in Anchorage, Alaska, I cover the gas bill for the heat for all of my tenants. If they stop paying my rent, legally, I have to continue paying the gas bill, as it is illegal in many areas for a landlord to shut off utilities, even if the tenant is not paying their rent for over a year. So hypothetically, a landlord such as myself or for you could be on the hook for utilities for multiple years. Now, of course, many of you are probably saying, what about the mortgage forbearance? Can landlords use this? Well, yes, but honestly, you may not want to go down that road. Lenders are already updating their mortgage application documents to ask if you are currently or previously have been in mortgage forbearance. I know this from personal experience as I was filling out an application this morning for refinance of one of my properties. Currently, lenders have not confirmed if this will be a disqualification. There is nothing in the proposed act that prevents the lenders from disqualifying you from future loans if you decide to take forbearance today. Now, honestly, my strong suspicion is that the next 3 to 5 years, loans will be highly scrutinized. And if you take forbearance today, you will most likely be denied on future properties or refinance of current ones. So not only will it be harder for good, honest landlords to continue to provide affordable housing to their tenants today, the assistance provided to them in the form of forbearance may preclude them from purchasing properties in the future, even after the economy comes back to normal. Overall, my biggest issue with how this is being handled is tenants are being given a reason not to pay in spite of receiving their checks from state and federal government. If a person is unemployed or underemployed, they're able to get unemployment benefits from the state, plus an additional $600 bonus from the federal government. With these funds, tenants should be able to make their normal rent payments. Okay, so now that this act has passed the House, what should landlords be doing to prepare? All right, now first, of course, remember, this still needs to make it through the Senate and then be signed by the president before it can become law. And I strongly feel that this is either going to get dropped completely or heavily modified before it gets passed. Now, of course, you know what? That being said, politics sometimes is a complete mystery to everybody. So it is very wise for you to prepare for this. Now, first, you should contact your local HUD or social services agencies in your area. Until this law is finalized, of course, they're probably not going to know too much detail of this specific program, but that's fine. Ask them what programs they currently offer and see if you can get on a waiting list for new information as it comes out over the coming weeks. If your local area already offers some sort of renter assistance, see what it takes to get some of your tenants enrolled. Maybe they can provide you PDF copies of the applications. If so, how about you speak with your renters and find out which one of them may be in need of assistance? That way, you know exactly who's going to need to apply. You can sit down with them and pre-fill out the majority of the application, making it very simple for your tenants. Then, if your local agency allows, you can gather up all the applications and bulk submit them at once. You know, it also never hurts to order lunch or maybe a gift basket to be delivered on the same day as your applications arrive. Don't bribe them, but it never hurts to be extra nice. Anything that you can do to make this process easy for your local HUD or social service agency and easier for your tenants, the better this is going to be for you. Remember, the goal is to get your tenants the assistance they need so that they can pay their rent each month. If possible, when applying, see if the local agency will ACH deposit the monthly funds into your account each month instead of them going to the tenant and waiting for the tenant to pay you. You know, these are just a few suggestions. I hope they help you out. If you have any other ideas, why don't you make comments down below and let me know. Now, In summary, I feel that many landlords are going to be forced to sell their properties quickly for any price that they can get just to get themselves out of the situation. And honestly, the only ones that are going to profit here are the large multi-billion-dollar corporations that can swoop in and snap up these properties for pennies on the dollar. Then the properties that cannot be sold will be foreclosed upon, and with the glut of properties on the market in foreclosure, there will be less and less available units for renters to live in. Now, what do you think? Why don't you comment down below and tell me what you think? Thank you very much for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe, as that really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next one.